Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to walk you guys through this Atlantic 1080 shelf build. This is a nice big shelf. It will be replacing these shelves back behind me right here. And these are, these are decent shelves back here, but they obviously don't have as much space as the 1080. The 1080 is a pretty good size. It's a 6-foot shelf. I believe it's a little bigger than 6 foot tall, and it's 3 wide. So it's a pretty nice shelf. I have a couple other Atlantic shelves, and these are really nice. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the building. It's gonna be time lapse, so we may stop as the time lapse is going on, and I'll explain a couple of the procedures. But that's about it. So let's get to it. About halfway through filming, I realized there's a issue here with the boards on here, and I'll flip around here and show you guys. Basically, one of the boards was not drilled correctly, and instead of just boxing it back up and sending it back, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna modify it myself and put it together, and I'm gonna add a couple of things that will strengthen the actual shelf anyway. So let me flip around here and I'll show you what happened. So after I got this section put together right here, I flipped it over and started to put the top section back together with these pieces right here. And I realized that if you can see here, both sides, see how this side is drilled? It basically both sides supposed to be drilled like this. These studs line up with these holes, and then you have I don't know the correct name, the grommets that go in there, and they're like screw grommets, and you know, that's what holds the shelf together. Well, if you look at this side is just drilled with 2 holes in it. It makes no sense. So, and then you also have alignment. You have dowel rod alignment holes here, and you don't have anything on the other side. So I poured over the directions to see if there was a solution to this, and I could not find any other solution. So instead of sending this back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this end upright like this for the I'm going to leave it upright for the top shelves, and use these, this fastening system right here for the top section. But this section here, since I have these 2 pilot holes here, I'm going to actually just screw this completely I'm going to just screw this down to the top of the shelf and make like more of a permanent screw hole. And it'll probably ultimately make a stronger connection. And I'm also going to put a couple on each section of shelf. I'm going to put one of these angle brackets on here to strengthen up the bond between these shelves. So hopefully this will help. So I'll flip over and stick this on a tripod, and I'll let you see a little bit of this. Anytime that you're running screws into this board is not very wide, as you can see. You're better off. I'm going to put pilot holes in here, and so when I run a screw in here, it doesn't split the board. So anytime you're drilling into just a raw piece of wood like that, and it's a kind of a thin piece of wood, always drill a pilot hole. And I will demonstrate that here in just a second. Let me flip around here. But the first thing I'm going to do here is I got a drill bit here. You just kind of want it, roughly the size of the end of your drill. I always like to go a little bit smaller because just as long as it's just a little bit of a pilot hole, it's something that gives it to guide it in and doesn't allow it to, it allows the wood to give a little bit. So the biggest challenge here is to make sure I get good alignment across through here, so I want this to all line up the way it should from the factory. So I'm basically just going to be doing this by hand and eye. Make sure it's all lined up good. Make sure this end's flush and this top end's flush. It's a little bit difficult to do it by hand like this, but I've done this stuff enough that I can I don't usually have too much trouble with it. So as long as it's pretty close in this situation, since we're kind of making up this as I go along. But basically this is I'm going to drill this pilot hole. I don't know if I was successful there or not. There we go. I definitely got it in there then. And now I'm just really doing all this for a test. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to my drill bit or to my screw bit and put this in real quick. So and kind of see how our alignment is. It may not be perfect, but I just want to get it close. And I missed. These screws are a little bit big, so I'm going to have to try something else, because I did split my wood out there. This particle board is really difficult to work with, so these smaller screws I actually have here will work just as well instead of using a larger screw. So that's probably how I'm going to have to work it, is use these smaller screws instead of using the larger screws. Just because the larger screw is going to be too thick, I do believe, for this wood. Now that was a good pilot hole right there that went right down the center. And I believe this will work. You guys will probably say, you're making a mess on your bed. I know I am. Now that went in good. That was a successful screw. It went in, it's good and tight. Alignment looks pretty good. And where I did have that bust out earlier, I think what I can do is I can just completely drill a new pilot hole. through the upper side. I do want 2 screws here, and I am glad the smaller screws work because they're a little bit smaller, and the diameter is going to work out much better. When you're going in, always go in slow. Now we got a good tight joint. It's not perfect by any means, but it will work. And it shouldn't affect the finished product of the shelf.